box of vintage transistor radios that a viewer sent me. So let's see what we got here. We got a note. So it's nice to have a script to go off of. There are 16 radios in this box. All are either dead or with some issues beyond just cleaning the volume control. With a variety of problems, I thought they make for some good troubleshooting videos. I'd like to get the Emperor back, the one in the small box. I've weighed it so I can send you a label when the time comes. I'm really sorry, but there's a Philco in here. You know, Philco made good transistor radios. The cases are a little crappy. The leather's dried out or the plastic cracks. But Philco transistors and Philco transistor radios are good performers. Thanks for the entertainment and educational experience. And I've never really complained too much about Philco TVs except that they're all style and no quality, but the design and the circuits design is good once they're working. This is the one he wants fixed and wants back, and boy, that is tiny. Looks like it runs on a single Pinlight 1.5 volt battery, so we'll set that one aside and see what it does. Boy, that is tiny. I can't see that performing very well. Wow, I've only got 6 minutes left. I guess I better bust ass. So that looks like a Zenith. That is a Summit. Let's see what we got here. Another Zenith. Audition? Is that what that says? Only 6 minutes, man. What's going on? Channel Master? Boy, that's an old Channel Master. Bad capacitors in these, made by Sanyo. Always bad capacitors in your Channel Masters. Kind of rhymes. What do we got here? Super 8 transistor. Hilton. Nothing but the best. Westminster. It's like almost an 80s dime store special. Look at that. But hey, none of them work, so I can do a repair video on each one. Let's see, how many more minutes do I have here? 5 more minutes. Coronado. That was somebody's house brand, correct? It's another one of these. These are pretty much all the same on the inside. General Electric. GE made their own stuff. Actually, on this one, no, they did not. That's your standard honcoidal radio. We'll just call them the honcoidal circuit. Just like made out of whatever transistors they could find. Okay, what do we got here? We got a Sony Cube radio. This is kind of interesting. The speaker looks like it's got some type of, maybe a spider egg sac in it. These are going to start falling on the concrete. Panasonic. A honcoidal special. 2 IF stages for your listening pleasure. See what we've got. Ooh, what do we got here? No brand name. Well, look at that. Look at how crude that is. Look at all the sloppy coils potted in wax. It's how they align these. They open and close those coils, and then they put wax on them to hold them in place. So that'll be an interesting one to fix. How are we doing here time-wise? 3 minutes? What do we got here? Zenith Royal 180. Save up to $20 a year in operating costs. That does not look American made. That does not look American made. center tapped battery setup. Next, Philco. Again, these are good radios. They're tough to get to work sometimes. They all use the center, made in America. That speaker looks crustastic. Looks like the battery's leaked. Center tapped batteries. Philco made their own transistors. The cases always seem to be cracked on these type of radios. This is a T60. But these are good performers. These are really good performers when they work. So that'll be a definite. Okay, and here's the last one. This is a Sanyo. We got 1 minute left here. That's Sanyo with the green transistors. So let me get the memory card cleaned off and we'll try and get that small one he wants working. I see I made a mistake. This is not a Zenith, this was a General Electric. And this is the GE made GE with the pin drive speaker. The speakers don't sound as good, but you never really hear them rubbing like the other style. Okay, let's pop a battery in here. I always get the question, why do I wear gloves? Well, lead for one thing. When I had my physical, and I'll do a more detailed video on this, I had them test for lead, and if 3.5 was the maximum, mine was like 3.4. So yeah, you got to really take lead seriously, and I'll talk about that later. Well, there's a crackle when you put the battery in, but nothing beyond that. Wow, this is just not designed to be worked on. I've tried heat, everything to get this up without screwing it up, and man, just not designed to be worked on. Okay, let's see what we got here. We have converter transistor next to our red oscillator coil. Then we got one IF transistor right there. I'm going to assume this is the detector. They're using a transistor. This is the driver, and this is the push-pull audio out, because the speaker is hooked directly to this transformer. So yes, this is the inner stage transformer. So a little corrody doodle there, huh? Well, this is not a capacitor problem, because this one tests about 2 ohms, this one about 3 ohms, and this one about 1/2 an ohm. So not a capacitor problem. I've never seen a tuning capacitor cut open like this before. The only thing I can think of is that was there to give it another millimeters clearance for the speaker. Alright, I had to tack some wires onto my battery. And now it sounds like it's working. I don't know. No, there's a definite bias or transistor issue. Listen to it. Sounds like I sprayed the volume control. That helped a lot. This is like a DC bias issue. If you listen very carefully. Now you'll notice as I turn it up, listen. You notice I get to a point where I AC bias it. I bias it with the signal. So maybe we should take the signal tracer, and listen. Okay, got the signal tracer. Listen to what it sounds like going into the interstage transformer.
The home, families, the communities.
About 6.5 million country. President Biden spoke by phone to President Zelensky this afternoon. By his own military. White House correspondent Stephen Portnoy with details.
Okay,
a U.S. official says that declassified intelligence indicates a persistent tension between Vladimir Putin and his defense ministry.
That's going in. This is the output stage.
Didn't know his military was losing conscripts in Ukraine, and U.S. analysts conclude that Putin's senior advisors are too afraid of the truth.
President Biden just got his second COVID-19 booster.
So that's the output stages right here. So it's a bias or a transistor issue in the output stage.
Willis is retiring. Willis is best known for his Die Hard movies. Call me John. Released by his wife Emma, his ex-wife Denise says he's been diagnosed with aphasia, which can affect the ability to write. Aphasia often occurs after someone has suffered a head injury or stroke. The statement posted
That's
on
going
Instagram
into the
says
output
condition is affecting
transistors.
the actor's
This is coming out.
abilities. The family says the 67-year-old Willis will be stepping away from his career.
So we got to check the biasing resistors. I see a lead here that's not even soldered.
Following a rejection by Mayor Garcetti, LA's tax law is history. The vast majority of businesses in the city of LA will no longer be required to ask customers 12 and older for proof of vaccination. The council voted
That was never soldered.
affecting gyms, entertainment venues, restaurants. He also voted no last week when this was first presented to the council. I know it feels like we're out of the woods. It feels like we're all going back to normal. And this proves to be a foolish vote. Mayor Garcetti gets the last word on this contentious issue. The council's vote becomes official, final, with his signature. Craig Fickner, KNX News, 97.1 FM. Well, some people are watching that.
That makes a difference. Doesn't make it hi-fi, but it makes a difference. Can you see that wire? Never soldered.
Including Ralphs and Bonds and the union representing their workers, are set to resume contract negotiations today after union members to authorize a strike. That doesn't mean a strike will happen.
It's definitely better. It's not, like I said, it's not hi-fi.
Made in the contract talks. The union is asking for an extra $5 an hour for the workers to be paid over 3 years, but so far the grocery store chains are only offering a bump in pay of $1.80 an hour. The family actor Bruce Willis says he's stepping away from acting after being diagnosed with a neurological disorder.
In a post on Instagram, Willis's daughter Rumor wrote that it's impacting his cognitive abilities and that this is a really challenging time for them. their family. Dr. Wally Wozni, medical director of the Comprehensive Stroke Center at St. Mary's Medical Center in Long Beach, says there can be two types of problems that arise with aphasia.
The inability to get the words
I think this thing is also flaky.
They know what they want to say, but the words just don't come out. And they're able to speak, but they're not things that you're talking about.
Aphasia is caused by a stroke,
Which is blood clot that goes to the brain, and that can lead to the damage.
You know, with a 1 1/4 inch speaker, you're not going to get much.
cause aphasia as well. Willis's family did not disclose the cause in his case. Dr. Wozni says,
Huh. Yeah, as soon as I put it back together, it's just totally dead. These... I think it's inside this tuning capacitor.
Over the past 30 years, we've installed nearly 500,000 garage doors throughout Southern California. That gives our customers peace of mind, knowing they're getting the Mesa Advantage, the best garage doors from the best professionals at the absolute best price. Normally, a new Mesa garage door is $10.99. Para cortar la red.
give yourself the gift of wealth with no limits. De verdad somos estos 5 sentidos para servir a
Nos ayuda acá. Now, absolutely free.
You know, it performs exactly how you'd expect. Okay, the subtle distortion with this thing just drives me crazy. You know, and these are a joke. But it sounds so good going into the driver, and then it sounds so bad coming out of the output. I'm worried about pulling this thing in and out that I'm going to break something. But I tried bridging some resistors in to up the bias, and it actually makes it sound better. So I'm wondering if I should pull it out and check those resistors. This doesn't have any kind of bias regulation like most of these germanium sets. They have a thermistor in there, so they might intentionally underbias this thing. I mean, the battery would last, I don't know, what's a AA battery good for? An amp and a half, so 100 hours at 10 milliamps. Is that what the battery would last? Did I move my math right? We got 2 resistors that make up the bias on the audio output on this thing. It's a voltage divider, so we got a 390 ohm, right? Which is measuring 545 ohms. And we've got a that one I pulled out right there, which is a 68, blue-gray, 68. And it's measuring 70. So that one's close. This one's way off. Not way off, but... So this is what it sounds like with the bias resistor out. No DC bias. This is a 390 ohm 1%. It pulls the idle current up to 20 milliamps, not 10. But it gets rid of the distortion. This is a RN60 390 ohm resistor, 1% mil-spec resistor. This resistor exceeds the value of the entire radio. Okay, the new resistor is in, and this is what the standby current is now. So it's increased it quite a bit. It's increased it 15 milliamps, but it sounds clean now. It sounds really clean. So,
He has been saying forever. Remember, at this time in his life, he even admits he was a crack addict. You know,
okay, well, I think it sounds as good as it ever has because of that unsoldered lead, the bad resistor, the dirty controls. I mean, yeah, and the current draws come down a little bit. I think the transistors were hot from the soldering iron.
And the resources of a wartime effort.
이런 기업을 순식간에 남의 손에 넘겨주는 그런 아픔이
It's not
났겠죠.
loud. It's not a PA system. It's very minimal.
그의 곁을 지켰다는 사실입니다. 15절
It's very directional. It has a tiny antenna.
Thanks for having me, and I think there are 2 points I make. One is that you're absolutely right. This is part of a tradition of growing family members of presidents and other powerful figures on the national stage seeking to make money off the family name. And that appears to be part of the pattern that we uncovered here. It's particularly interesting or notable to us. An extraordinary amount of money, about $5 million, that flowed
So you can hear it's clean all the way at the very bottom.
to Hunter Biden and related accounts.
And that's the main thing, you know, is that but this is the kind of thing, I don't know, you listen to this in bed by yourself. I mean, this is tiny speaker, tiny everything.
It came from this work. So it was interesting. We thought and important. We thought to report on the sort of financial windfall that
One of the toughest radios I've ever worked on, I think.
before, after.
I did not glue this plate back down, this plate I had to take off to get the screws out, because if I glue it down, you'll never get it out again. With the glue I got.
cats out there. So go to PJ Media and read that. It's a lengthy, it's a deep.
10 minutes. Take charge. Pick up a QuickView at-home OTC COVID-19 test today. And learn more at quickview.com for
Like I said, it's real directional.
Miles. Yeah, that was the total distance before they rescued him. Tough talk. That's amazing.
For top dollar.
Material, or even material that's not particularly edgy, but to a drunk is, the drunk has a little bit of liquid courage in them, and suddenly, talking about the president of Russia. Ukraine will never be victory for Russia, for free people refuse to live in a world of hopelessness and darkness. We will have a different future, a brighter future, rooted in democracy and principle, hope and light. Somebody from the outside. Super guys, over there. DSLB number 974908.
Here at Total Wine and More, you'll find what you love and love what you find.
Marcelo se va a quedar y a trabajar con...
Donde nuestra María. Agradecemos.
Let me see if I can find K Mozart on it. And I gotta get the antenna polarized right. I guess it'd be like that. Let me work on that. Wow, I found it. If it'll get this, it's working pretty good.
because they don't want to get
무너질 뻔했습니다.
camisetas de México, tarjetas de crédito. 405 north on a Getty Center Drive. Got a disabled vehicle in a car. Park. And if you're taking the 10, making your way through that Culver City area into downtown,
It's no DXer, that's for sure.
Brand new crash over on the right shoulder.
It's
a
no
slow ride
DXer.
From the 405.
Against boosters, and there's a lot of concern out there about vaccine-related complications. They're rare, but they are understudied. Dr. Marty McCary, the CDC.
Como hice ayer, me di cuenta.
From booster shots to
Real.
do something about? More to a mortgage than just a lower rate. You can use this cash, consolidate debt.
You can't say, my two dads and I went on vacation this weekend. It doesn't say that in the bill.
Nowhere.
So I'm going to call it good. It's been running for a few hours, and I'm going to call it good here. Fixed. Bad resistor. I should include that when I return it. Bad resistor and something. Cracked solder joint and dirty control